You spend a lifetime in a gym to get here. Practicing, honing skills. All to get to basketball's ultimate stage. The place where the stakes are highest. The place where greatness is authenticated. That place is the NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls are already a huge part of this league's history. 5 NBA titles this decade, and reaching deep for one more run. The Chicago Bulls are kings of the NBA, but someday, someone will dethrone them. The Utah Jazz came close last year, battling through 6 tough games. This year they're back, rested, ready, and with home court advantage. Determined to end the Bulls' run here and write their own chapter in NBA Finals history. The wait is over. The NBA Finals are here. Game 1, next.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1998 NBA Finals. Tonight, it's Game 1. The Chicago Bulls versus the Utah Jazz.
The Delta Center in Salt Lake City, one of the loudest buildings in all of sports, a place where the Jazz enjoy a distinct home court advantage, and where a sellout crowd is ready to rock the rafters for Game 1 of this rematch in the NBA Finals. Good news for Jazz fans. In the past quarter century, prior to this one, there have been 5 rematches in the NBA Finals. In every instance, the team that lost the first time came back to win the second. And welcome to Game 1, everybody. I'm Bob Costas. We start with this news. The Chicago Bulls tell us that Dennis Rodman suffered torn ligaments, or at least strained ligaments, in his right thumb late in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pacers. He had been expected to start Game 1 of this series. He will not. He is available. He will play. Tony Kukoc will start. We'll have to keep an eye on Dennis, check his minutes, see how effective he is in this all-important matchup. They're looking to him to slow Karl Malone at least a little bit. Jim Gray will talk with Rodman during our next segment. Now, there is a widespread feeling that of the 6 times the Chicago Bulls have been to the NBA Finals, this year's Utah Jazz are the team best equipped to derail them. They are not awed by the Bulls. They are rested, they are ready, and they believe that this time around they can do it. This Utah Jazz team includes 2 of the all-time greats, certain first-ballot Hall of Famers, John Stockton and Karl Malone. They have played together for 13 years. No teammates have ever played on the same team so long, whether they were scrubs, Hall of Famers, or anywhere in between, without winning at least 1 NBA title. And coming close a year ago was small solace.
Yes, we were disappointed. We were excited about getting there, and excited about having the opportunity because of the closeness of it, but we did lose it, so you can't find much satisfaction in that.
If you're writing a storybook ending, you want to have an opportunity to play the team that beat you last year and won the title. And in this business, sometimes you get your wishes. Sometimes you don't. We was able to get our wish, and we're looking forward to it.
So too are basketball fans everywhere, including Isaiah Thomas and Doug Collins. Well, Zeke, the more things change, the more they remain the same. For the Utah Jazz, here's the question. What do you do with Michael?
But Michael Jordan poses so many problems for the defense. When you're guarding him with a smaller player, such as Jeff Hornacek, he can just turn around and elevate and shoot right over you. Then Chicago will come back with the big 3, Pippen, Kukoc, and Jordan. Now, you can't leave Jordan, so when they double-team Pippen in the low post, Kukoc is there for the long 3. So you say, okay, we'll come double team you with size. We'll bring Karl Malone. But you see Dennis Rodman on the offensive glass, and a weak side offensive player, Tony Kukoc, comes up with the offensive rebound. Then last year in the finals, they came from the top, and they left Steve Kerr open for the wide open Jay. Now, Michael Jordan has torched Utah this season, averaging close to 35 points a night. And when you double team him, he frees up on the offensive glass for at least 20 shots. Now, what do you do with Michael Jordan? That's the question that the league has been trying to figure out for a very long time. Bob?
And maybe the answer is let him get his, the way they did with Shaq in the Western Conference Finals as they swept L.A. Shaq got off, but nobody else did, and they won in 4 straight. I'll tell you one thing, though, guys. Every high school coach in America has to love this series because these are late 90s teams who play such great fundamental basketball. They play team ball, they move it around, and there is nothing more basic and yet nothing executed any closer to perfection than the Utah Jazz pick and roll.
Bob, the beauty of the screen roll is that you take what the defense gives you, and Utah does it better than anybody in the league. You're going to see this time Michael Jordan at the top chooses not to rotate, so Stockton's going to drive the baseline. He gets the double team and finds Karl Malone sliding to the open area, and he hits the open shot. So Chicago makes an adjustment. They say, we're going to rotate to Karl Malone, and we're going to take the shot away from him. So Malone this time becomes the passer. Stockton to Malone, over to Hornacek, and he gets the open shot. Chicago says, we'll try it another way. We'll run Longley and stay with Malone out on the perimeter. So Stockton reads it. He drives baseline. Now Hornacek is open in the corner for the three-point shot. Regardless of what they do, they react and they get great shots. But the centerpiece of their offense is Karl Malone. When he throws up big numbers, you see in the wins, 28.5 points, they win. When he doesn't, they lose. He needs to have big numbers if they're going to find a way to win this championship, Bob.
In last year's final against the Bulls, these were his numbers. 24 points, around 10 rebounds. Not bad. Shot 44%. But he didn't come through in some crucial moments. And ultimately, he graded his own performance as a C+. How close were the Jazz a year ago as they lost 4-2? Well, except for Game 2 when they lost by a big margin in Chicago. In their other 3 defeats, they actually led 129 of the 144 minutes. And as you look at the overall numbers in the series, there's very little to choose. The Bulls were simply able to make more big plays in more of the big moments, and that's why they claim their 5th NBA title. The Jazz think they can make the little adjustments and the big plays down the stretch that will change the outcome this time. We'll be back, and we'll be joined by Bill Walton and Hannah Storm when we continue from the Delta Center in Salt Lake City. After this, Game 1 of the 1998 NBA Finals.
Welcome back to Salt Lake City. Hannah Storm joined by Bill Walton, who will be with us throughout the NBA Finals. Peter Vesey and John Sally will be joining us at halftime. As Bob Costas mentioned earlier, the big news here at the Delta Center is the questionable health of Dennis Rodman. He suffered an injury to his right thumb Sunday night in Game 7 against Indiana, and there is believed to be some ligament damage. Further tests, however, will be necessary to determine the extent of Rodman's injury. He will not start tonight, but is expected to play. Tony Kukoc will start in Rodman's place. A short while ago, Jim Gray spoke with the NBA's leading rebounder.
Dennis, you jammed your thumb in Game 7. You've been wearing a wrap around it. How will it affect your play tonight?
I'm not going to be able to rebound like I want to tonight, so nothing I can do about it, just play basketball. You know, I'm not going to be able to go up there and tip the ball or even take a shot in there like that because it's so severely sprained. So I just got to go out there and play. It's the final, so all injuries to the side.
Does it really affect your game? Because the rebounding is so critical and you're not a shooter. Will it affect your game that much?
Absolutely. I got to grab the ball with my right hand. I'm known to grab the ball and cuff the ball with my right hand. I can't even grip the ball more or less. Try to grab it.
It's going to limit your minutes?
Probably, most likely will. So I just have to, if I'm going good, I'm just going to tell Coach keep me and I'm ready to play. If I'm not going good, tell him sit me down. I'm not doing anything. I'm not contributing to the team, so I'm going to just sit down and cheer for the team.
How long until it heals?
I said maybe a week.
Well, a week from tonight, Bill, if it takes until then to heal, and it is expected to be heavily bandaged tonight, would be Game 4 in Chicago. In the meantime, though, Rodman was supposed to see some significant minutes guarding Karl Malone. So what does this do to the Bulls' defensive strategy?
Hannah, I just spoke with Phil Jackson, and he is very concerned. Now, he was planning on starting Luke Longley anyway to save Dennis Rodman for foul trouble in the fourth quarter. Bill Wennington, Dickie Simpkins, they'll get plenty of time, but they're not really the type of players at this level. I think there will be critical moments in this series when Scottie Pippen, of all people, will come out and be matched up against the great Karl Malone, and that will be quite an interesting matchup, Hannah.
Well, Pippen has had a tremendous playoffs from a defensive standpoint, even though he struggled somewhat offensively, but he gives up so much size to Malone, a couple of inches and almost 30 pounds.
Hannah, Scottie Pippen's one of the greatest defensive players of all time, and Karl Malone's game is no longer about power. It's no longer about driving to the hoop. It's all about the passing, the perimeter jumpers, and it's about that, leadership down low. I really think Scottie, with his length, with his position, with his fundamentals, with great perimeter pressure by Chicago, that can be a huge factor for Chicago. Scottie Pippen on Karl Malone.
Well, the Bulls have got to be thinking about a couple of guys maybe they could use who were on their playoff roster last year in the finals. A big body in Jason Caffey, but a man that they traded in February, much to the dismay of the rest of his teammates. And also Brian Williams, who was a factor not only on the boards, but did a great job defending Karl Malone last year. Utah was very competitive, but they lost in 6 games to the Bulls. What do they need to do differently this time?
Hannah, the strategies for beating the Bulls are always the same. The problems for Chicago's opponents are that they're never able to accomplish their goals. Primarily, Utah must establish a dominant low-post offense, and that burden falls squarely on Karl Malone. Last year in the finals, Karl Malone, normally a go-to-the-basket, get-to-the-free-throw line type of player, settled for the perimeter jumper. Dennis Rodman did a terrific job forcing Karl into bad footwork. Karl Malone flailing away from the outside, not getting those jumpers to fall. Karl shot just 44%. He's a career 53% shooter. This year, though, he's shooting 79% in the playoffs. Secondly, the Jazz must control their defensive backboard, and this control is a direct result of Utah's perimeter defense. When Michael Jordan takes the shorter Utah guards into the post, people can't stand around and watch. They got to box out. They can't let Kukoc and Rodman and Longley get their game off. And then Scottie Pippen loves to launch threes, which seemingly turn into passes to players like Tony Kukoc. The offensive rebounding edge in the finals against the Pacers from the Eastern Conference, that was the difference in that series. Now, this Utah team is vastly improved from last year's finalists. Better skills, better rotations, and much more confident. This Utah team is also the best team the Bulls have ever faced in the finals. Whether any of this means anything, though, ultimately comes down to Karl Malone's ability to compete at the mental level where Michael Jordan has previously reigned supreme. Will Karl be able to control the flow and the tempo? Will Karl be able to seize the key pivotal moments and match the energy burst of Michael Jordan? Eventually, to win, Karl Malone is going to have to confront Michael's greatness head on and say, Michael, what you have is now mine.
It is the two best teams in the NBA battling it out for this year's title. Both the Bulls and the Jazz, 62-20 in the regular season. Chicago, 11-4 in the playoffs. Utah, 11-3. After nearly 100 games, these two teams are separated by just one loss. The finals begin here because Utah won both regular season matchups over Chicago. The Bulls have beaten every team in the league this season except the Utah Jazz. We're closing in on the tip-off of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We'll send it back to Bob Costas, Doug Collins, and Isaiah Thomas for the call after these messages.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that a Miller time can be anything you want as long as it feels good. By Nike. And by the new Nissan Altima. Nissan, life is a journey. Enjoy the ride.
How loud can it be at the Delta Center? Well, it's not even approaching the top decibels yet, with the game not yet underway. But in preparation for how loud it ultimately will be, Phil Jackson just walked out onto the floor wearing earplugs. Bob Costas back along with Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas. And it's time now to turn things over to the PA announcer at the Delta Center, Dan Roberts.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Delta Center for the NBA Finals. This is game number 1 with the Chicago Bulls and our Utah Jazz. Introducing the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. Starting at forward and wearing number 7 at 6'11" from Croatia, Toni Kukoc. Starting forward number 33 at 6'7" from Central Arkansas, Scottie Pippen. Starting at the center position, number 13 at 7 feet from New Mexico, Luke Longley. On the guard line, wearing number 9 at 6'6" from Miami of Ohio, Ron Harper. And at guard, wearing number 23 at 6'6" from North Carolina, Michael Jordan. The Bulls are coached by Phil Jackson.
And the Jazz win their first ever Midwest Division title. Unbelievable.
Magic down the alley. Goes to Green. Blackby. Here comes the Magic. Blackby. Oh, baby. Big mark everywhere.
He did it. A new NBA assist team. John Stockton.
Congratulations, Paul Malone. 1996-97 NBA Most Valuable Player.
John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing our Utah Jazz. Starting at forward, wearing number 32 at 6'9" from Louisiana Tech, the mailman, Karl Malone. Starting forward, number 3 at 6'7" from Long Beach State, Brian Russell. Starting center, number 44 at 6'11" from UTEP, Rick Foster. On the guard line, wearing number 12 at 6'1" from Gonzaga, John Stockton. And at guard, number 14 at 6'4" from Iowa State, Jeff Hornacek. The Jazz are coached by Jerry Sloan. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the ceiling at the Jazz end of the arena for the unveiling of the 1998 Western Conference Championship banner.
Well, as we wait for the banner to be unfurled, we present Ahmad Rashad. Go.
All right, thanks, Bob. I spent some time in the Bulls locker room before the game. They are loose, they're confident, and they're enjoying playing the role of underdog. Now, as far as that question is, rest, too much rest, not enough rest, Michael Jordan says when you're trying to win an NBA championship, rest does not enter into the equation. He also told me that he has never felt better in this particular time during a championship run. He said the key for him is to have as much fun as possible in this series, and we all know that in order for him to have fun, the Bulls have to win it. Now, for the Jazz part of it, let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. I spoke to Jerry Sloan. He's very concerned about the Jazz in the first half. He said, we cannot be in a hurry. We need to find our legs. He's concerned they're going to try and do too much in the first half and won't have anything left in the fourth quarter. I asked Karl Malone about it. He says, we must survive this first half. If we can, we'll have a big advantage for the rest of the series because then we will have all of the rest that we have had. I asked Karl what was the big difference between this year and last year. He said last year we thought we could win a championship. This year we know we can. And finally, Adam Keefe has the flu. He's weak, but he is available. Bob?
Jim, thanks a lot. And as the build-up continues before the tip-off for Game 1, the Jazz have one more item, and that would be, from the world of boxing, the tuxedoed Mr. Michael Buffer.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the hundreds of millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
I feel underdressed without a cummerbund. Dating back to Seattle in '96, the Bulls have lost 4 of their last 5 road games in the finals. But their one victory in that string was a huge one, Game 5 here, to take a 3-2 lead back to Chicago a year ago. The officials are Steve Javie, Ron Garretson, and Bennett Salvatore. Chicago ball to start it.